Assemble, I'm Matt. Great to have you here. Let's talk about something that, well, I'm pretty excited to be able to get into with you today, and that is going to be the topic of Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. I am wondering, probably like a lot of you, when will this match, this feud take place? When will it happen? When will it culminate? We got a lot of things to be able to look at today, but if you guys end up enjoying this video, do Matt a favor, hit the subscribe button, and most of all, hit the like button on the video because it tells the algorithm that you kind of enjoy things like this once in a while. So, with Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, this feud, if we back up, we rewind for a minute, this thing's been going on for quite a while. When CM Punk got injured and he was taken out at the Royal Rumble, they started to play into the storyline that it was Drew McIntyre's fault. We then saw Seth Rollins shift over into the main event scene of Wrestlemania, and he ended up having the match at Wrestlemania against Drew McIntyre. Drew wins, loved the match. It was Finisher City. I really enjoyed it. Damian Priest comes in, cashes in, Punk was involved, big schmoz, a lot of fun, and it has set up and it has propelled this story of Drew and Punk, and it's something that, you know what, I didn't think that I needed. I didn't know I needed this feud. I didn't know I needed these two guys to be in the ring together, but man, the chemistry, the promos, the backstage segments, all of it, it's working. It's working for me at least. I don't know about you, but I am having a great time watching this unfold every single week, despite the fact that there hasn't been a match, that they have both been injured, that Punk's tricep was torn off, he had full surgery. He's hinted at in interviews previously that he is good to go or that he's just waiting to be cleared. With Drew McIntyre, it's recently come out that he's dealing with like elbow pain and just his elbows all taped up and everything. So they're all banged up for this thing. And the question is going to be, once we get past all of these promos every single week, all of these vignettes, all the chirping backstage, just Punk calling him the B word from the rafters, Drew McIntyre driving away and Punk showing up. I wonder when this is going to happen. I wonder when the match is going to take place. There's a couple of possibilities here in my eyes. I think that they could do things at Clash at the Castle. That's kind of the first scenario that I see happening, because right now they seem to be really building up Punk and Drew McIntyre a lot more. When this first started, it was Drew McIntyre wearing the burial t-shirts of Punk, referencing him on TV, trolling online, just kind of peppering it in while Punk was fully away, getting surgery and completely off TV. And then Punk has been slowly coming back more and more frequently, coming in, doing the promo spots, getting under the skin of Drew McIntyre, and we're seeing it kind of escalate now. It makes me think that once we get past King and Queen of the Ring, they will start to actually really plan this thing out, maybe even brawl, and finally give us the match, maybe at Clash at the Castle. Clash at the Castle is a tricky one, and I wonder if they are saving it for Clash because Drew McIntyre was slotted to be in King of the Ring tournament. He was supposed to go up against Finn Balor. He was taken off because they say he wasn't eligible for it because of his injury, so he wasn't medically cleared. So they kept Drew off the table. They inserted Jey Uso into that spot, which I actually think is a good idea. Because I wanted to see, number one, I wanted to see Finn versus Drew, like a lot of people. But I think this is ultimately a good idea. If you are planning to get to Drew versus Punk, let's say at Clash, there really isn't any need for Drew to be in that tournament, especially if he is nursing an injury. Why put him through that? I think it was WWE's best move to take Drew out of the picture, take him off the card, run the promos, do vignettes, and don't clear him so you can save both of them for potentially Clash. Now, Clash is going to be an interesting show. Clash of the Castle is going to be taking place in Drew McIntyre's hometown. He's going to be the hometown boy. This is where I think this is one of the possible options that they do when booking this match. If both guys are cleared, if they both can go, I think Clash is one of those big international shows. You can headline CM Punk versus Drew McIntyre. This one has been the feud, which is funny because they haven't wrestled each other. They haven't touched each other. This feud has, to me, had the most legs and the most intrigue. Like, we're coming off of Wrestlemania, moving away from the Bloodline for a moment. Yes, the Bloodline is rebuilding. It's exciting. But for like a week-to-week story, Punk versus Drew is, to me, is one of the more interesting things I see every single week on Raw, and where they're going to go. And they haven't wrestled each other at all. So when they go to Clash, it could be a very, very interesting situation where those two guys could main event that show. You put Drew in the main event, he's the hometown boy. That's where it gets very intriguing because Drew is a heel, Punk is the babyface, but you're not going to get Drew McIntyre booed in his home country. He's not going to get booed there. So is Punk going to get booed? Or are they just going to roll with it and the crowd is just kind of split and mixed where they will cheer for both guys because they're just going to see a really cool match and really cool main event potentially. I also say it's the main event just as a prediction because you could have Cody on that show, but we're still early into Cody and maybe The Rock and the Bloodline and whatever that is going to turn into. Cody could maybe not be at Clash. Big international show, more than likely, yes, he is on the card, but what that match would look like, don't really know at this point. They got to heat something up. Maybe he's in a tag match, maybe he's doing something else with the title, but if you don't put Cody on that show, Punk and Drew could headline it and make it very interesting. Now, if you do this match, like I said, you could have both men cheered and just see who comes out on top. And I don't see, if they do this thing at Clash at the Castle, I do not see Drew McIntyre eating the pin. He's at home. He's going to be so over with it. I think it would almost shock some fans if you ended up having Drew win at Clash, beat CM Punk in their first confrontation out of maybe 3. And we do a best of 3 series just over the next year. Because you could drag this thing out. If both men get cleared in the next 6 weeks, whatever it is, you're looking at a really, really cool match for Clash at the Castle. And you could have Drew go over in the first one so that he can then go for the next couple of weeks, act all arrogant, being on top of the world, that he beats CM Punk, and you could still get Punk coming in and start just poking Drew once again, saying, he can't beat me, he can't really beat me. Maybe Drew cheats to win. At Clash of the Castle, you could do something like that where he gets a cheeky roll up, foot under the rope, something like that where it wasn't totally clean. Something for Punk to be able to then give him reason and justification for doing it again. So if you wanted to do it again, you could then move it on to, say, part 2 at SummerSlam, put it in a steel cage, do it in Hell in a Cell, something like that, or make it a no holds barred match. If you did it as a no holds barred match, even for their first encounter, that would actually save you a little bit of the worry that both these guys are maybe still a little bit injured. So if you do make their first confrontation or the second one, but if you make the first one especially a no holds barred contest, then you got no real problems there. You can protect a lot of stuff. You don't have to do a ton of moves and risk either guy getting injured. I also think that with CM Punk right now, just my perspective, I think right now you're in a holding pattern and it's like a wait and see game. Don't rush Punk back. And Clash might be too soon for that. They could get you to August. It's not that hard. And the way they've been doing this, you can have Punk show up once a month at this point. Now, if you don't, let's say, do the Clash of the Castle match for the first one, then in my eyes, you're saving this thing for SummerSlam. That is a massive, massive show for SummerSlam. But what are you gonna do about Clash of the Castle? You can't not have Drew McIntyre there. So one idea I had was that if you get to Clash, you could probably do Damian Priest versus Drew McIntyre for the title. And this gets into an interesting conversation about Damian Priest's whole title run, the relationship he has with Judgment Day at this point, a lot of stuff floating around. I don't see Damian Priest being a long-term champion. Could be wrong. He might keep the title for the next 6 months. I don't know. But if he does drop it, Drew McIntyre is the guy to drop it to. And you could have Drew pick it up at Clash. And that way he wins it clean. And it could be that maybe Judgment Day turns on Damian Priest and that sets up Priest to go off and fight his former allies and his former stablemates. Off he goes without the belt. Right now, haven't been too thrilled with Damian Priest's title run. I know it's early on. Believe me, I do. I will give more rope for him to be able to work with. I'm not cutting it off. I'm not saying that they can't recover. It just doesn't feel like a big deal when he's on TV presented. He's further on the card down like Backlash. He needs to be kind of main eventing some stuff. So they need to main event him at a PLE at some point. So if they don't do that, I can see them doing Drew versus Priest. Maybe that is the main event of Clash. Drew picks up the belt. no shenanigans, but to make that match more interesting than just a straight up one-on-one, to me, you insert CM Punk like I wish they did at WrestleMania, and you put Punk in as the special guest referee. So if you have Punk as the referee in the Damian Priest Drew McIntyre title match, that is where I feel you could get Punk to reluctantly count to 3 and get Drew McIntyre the win. The crowd pops huge, and then you are furthering the story between Punk and Drew, and now you have Drew as the champion. Drew gets his title that he wanted, and he gets it in the way where Punk, his biggest enemy that he just despises so much, had to do the one thing, which is count to 3 and raise his hand, and just makes Punk bitter, angry, and it fuels their match to finally happen at SummerSlam. Now there's Money in the Bank before that. We can just put those guys aside for right now. Maybe it's a Priest rematch, who knows, but I don't think Punk and Drew would have their match at Money in the Bank. I think if Drew gets the title and Punk is involved in the title match like a referee role, that keeps their story and their momentum going for a few more weeks. You can then start building to SummerSlam, and it won't be too far away from then. So you get to SummerSlam, and let's say it's going to be Drew as champion going up finally CM Punk one-on-one. Either way, whether it's Clash or the match happens at SummerSlam with maybe the title on the line, or maybe there is no title, I think Drew McIntyre needs to win the first one. I'm a huge CM Punk fan. I want Punk to win. I want him to win the whole thing. But I love Drew McIntyre as well and his work right now. I think for their story to go the distance for almost a year, it will be. I kind of think you need Drew to win the first one. Either be a title defense against Punk, so you don't flip-flop the belt too much. Drew gets a healthy run with the belt, and then you can get Punk to win the next match. Whether it's at the next PLE or the one after that, they can build to it, and then you can get a final blow-off, maybe at Survivor Series, or you could maybe stretch things out to the Royal Rumble. And you could get it full circle at the Royal Rumble, where Drew McIntyre injured CM Punk at the Rumble, and you could have that moment where CM Punk wins the belt off of Drew McIntyre. And then, this is way far out booking here, ladies and gentlemen. If you went down Matt's path with all of this, then I could see them having Seth Rollins maybe win the Royal Rumble. And if Seth comes back at any point, he's gonna get involved with Punk. He's gonna get involved with Drew. He's gonna wanna have that match, either a triple threat or one-on-one with CM Punk. And I think what you could do is that if you had someone like Punk win at the Rumble, win the belt at the Rumble, that gives you that full circle moment, kind of that closure for Punk there for that story piece. Then you could have Seth win the Royal Rumble, maybe as a heel, and then he can go after CM Punk for that title and feel like he was wronged out of it. You could maybe keep Drew McIntyre in the mix and do a triple threat match for the world title at WrestleMania. Now with that, Punk's big thing, it seems like, with WWE is being able to get that WrestleMania match, that main event WrestleMania match. And I think you can get a night one main event that involves Punk, Drew, and Seth. All three of them going after the world title. And then it gets very interesting because if it's WrestleMania, you could have Punk retain and he gets that big celebratory moment and he retains the belt because the other two guys cancel each other out, something like that. What do you see happening? Is it going to be at Clash of the Castle? Is it going to be at SummerSlam? King and Queen of the Ring? No, I don't think it's going to happen. King of the Ring. That wouldn't make much sense. Have a great day. See ya.